a comprehensive look at trends, fund profiles, and more in Exploring ETFs.
We are going to take a look at China ETFs now with our ETF strategist, Eric Dutram, who joins me here. China investing has been kind of iffy lately, right? What's actually been going on there?
More than kind of iffy. It's been very rocky here in 2015. We've seen a lot of crazy trading, to put it mildly, in the China ETF space.
Yeah.
To start the year was great for investors. We saw huge gains in a lot of China ETFs, but then the summer came, early fall, and we saw some big losses in a lot of China ETFs. They were among the worst performers, and it really knocked out a lot of the gains investors saw in the first part of the year. Here in October, though, or October into November, we've seen some more solid trading. Things have smoothed out a little bit. There's been a couple more stimulus measures, and I think investors have really appreciated this move from the government, and things have sort of flattened out for China here. So I think some level of confidence is starting to come back. And if we look at this this chart on the next slide here, we can see some of the rocky trading firsthand. Huge gains to start the year, and then most of these evaporated. But as we can see in the past 5-6 weeks or so, things have been a little more stable to positive, and I think investors are starting to, dip their toes back into the China ETF waters.
Yeah, and we are talking here on November the 3rd. 4th, I'm sorry. We'll just clarify that so you get that October into November thing that we want to clarify that you mentioned a moment ago. So can we infer from all of this that investors are actually feeling better about investing in China?
I think so. We've seen solid gains here over the last couple of weeks, and a lot of ETF issuers are really putting their money where their mouth is in this space, and they're launching a bunch of new products. China ETFs were a very popular area for ETF issuers. In the past year or so, there's a bit of a hiatus as the products really slumped there in the last couple months, but a lot have, resumed their launches in the space. We've seen a couple new funds here that are pretty intriguing, and I think investors might want to take a look at some of these new funds if they're thinking about the China ETF space.
Well, you're going to help us take a look at some of them right now. The first one is, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, XINA, X-I-N-A, the ticker?
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the pronunciation for the ticker either, but XINA is definitely the spelled out way to do it, and Spider is the company behind this one. State Street is the kind of the brand, and this targets the A-shares market, and the A-shares is one of those areas that's been really restricted to Western investors, but it's been opened up in the last year or so, and that's really what a lot of the surge in the early part of the year was. The big focus here is it's a bit cheaper, and you get it's a much more concentrated product, and you're going to have you don't have the third-party issues that you have with some of the other products. So it could be a safer way to play the China A-shares market, and it could be an intriguing choice for some investors out there.
Okay, and then you also brought an example of a duo of hedged products, tickers ASHX and CNHX.
Yeah,
correct.
A couple tongue twisters out there,
but that's why I took it slow.
Yeah, but the China A-shares market, it's been very popular, and we just talked about it on the previous slide.
Right.
And one of the main areas of concern for investors is this China devaluation, and we've seen other countries devalue their currencies more or less, with Japan and in Europe with the euro, and this has really been a boon for investors, with this hedge strategy, and I think these two issuers they're trying to, jump on this trend and, do this with the China market. The main thing to watch out for here is the hedging hasn't really been much of a benefit to investors because the devaluation's only been about 3 or 4%. In Japan we saw a 20 to 30% devaluation. So I'd watch out for both these products right now just because we haven't seen the devaluation that's going to really make them worthwhile. But, if we see, kind of the moves we saw in the euro and in the yen, these are going to be great picks for investors.
So is that kind of an experiment, this hedge product thing?
It is for the China space. We've seen a ton of examples out there already for Europe and in Japan. There's probably a dozen or so out there already. A bunch of other countries have started to launch hedged products as well. So it's an experiment for China, but it's a pretty relatively established strategy for the rest of the ETF space.
Okay. And you would have to throw this one in at me. Ha-ha.
That's right.
Is the ticker.
It's not a joke. The ticker is ha-ha.
Yeah.
And the strategy here is, and the ticker will make sense, it shifts between the A shares listing and the H shares listing of a fund. So you got the H to A. So ha.
Yeah, I got it.
You get it?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
So that's the strategy here is to find the most undervalued listing of the security, whether it be on the A shares or the H shares, and pick that one for investment. I think it's a pretty cool strategy, but I wonder if it's going to be a little too out there for a lot of investors who are kind of scared by the whole A shares or even China investing right now to begin with. And then, I mean, the ticker, while hilarious, might be a little too cutesy for some investors out there. But I do like the strategy, and if you can get by some of these issues and the price point, 75 basis points a year, it could be worth a closer look.
All right. Is that one of your favorites?
It is. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that one. And then I think the hedging products could be good if China continues to devalue their currency, but we really haven't seen that yet. So until then, I'd stay away from those.
Any on the list that you'd avoid?
I think the hedging in the meantime, and then the first one we talked about, XINA, that's going to be a tough sell for me just because there's so many other A shares products out there right now. The ASHR is the most popular, and I think that's going to be a go-to product for a lot of investors.
Okay. Own any?
I do not.
All right. Check out more ETF information on our website in the ETF section. All you need to do to get there is go to our homepage at zacks.com and use the top toolbar. The Funds tab is the one you want to click, and then that'll cause another drop-down window to appear, and then you can choose ETFs. In the meantime, if you are watching our videos on the YouTube platform, don't forget you can always subscribe to them there and even comment on them. We appreciate the feedback. With Eric, I'm Terry Ruffalo.